We call it Earth. But our planet is composed mostly of water, from oceans to clouds, clouds to rain, and rain to streams and rivers. In liquid, solid, or gaseous form, water, in its infinite cycle, drives our planet. But there's a place in Canada where the great saga of water has shaped nature like nowhere else. Welcome to the Sacred Headwaters. The Uncharted Canada team set out to discover an element that is so abundant and yet so enigmatic: water. While following the fantastic voyage of water on Earth, Francois, Xavier, and Damien will try to uncover its mystery, its importance, but also its fragility. An ambitious plan for the team, who began their trek where water begins its journey on Earth, at the headwaters. To trace the origins of water in northwestern BC, we have no choice but to go to the Sacred Headwaters, the source of the water. Water that falls from the sky onto this small parcel of land gives rise to three gigantic rivers: the Nass, the Stikine, and the Stikine. Together, these rivers drain such a vast surface that some claim you could hide England in it, and the English would never find it.
I'll take over whenever you want.
All right, go ahead.
Good. I have control.
We're headed for the Sacred Headwaters. We're now flying up the Tahltan Valley. We're hoping to find a bush runway to land on. I'll drop off our friend FX there, where he's meeting with the hydrologist Daniel Nadeau. And apparently he brought a canoe.
Absolutely. He's brought canoes, so we can begin our adventure on the water.
I'll follow you from up here and we'll meet at the Grand Canyon.
Sounds good. The goal of this journey is to follow the Stikine River from its source in the middle of the Sacred Headwaters until almost Alaska, a few kilometers from the sea. During the adventure, we'll discover the culture of the Tahltan people. They could be considered as the children of the Stikine River because they vowed their survival to it for millennia. We'll then explore the Grand Canyon of the Stikine River, often compared to the Grand Canyon of Colorado. That gives you an idea of the size of the beast. The adventure comes to an end at a place called Great Glacier. Nothing more to say, the name says it all.
Okay, I'm gonna fly a bit higher.
On the way to the Sacred Headwaters, the two adventurers fly over a famous attraction of northwestern BC, Cascade Falls on the Untouched River. Before arriving here, the water has already made an epic journey of many days, months, maybe even years. In fact, each of these water molecules began its journey long before landing on Earth, thousands of kilometers from here, in the ocean. As they absorb the sun's energy, the surface molecules heat up and turn to water vapor, which rises into the atmosphere. The humid air is pushed onto land by the prevailing winds, and when it hits the mountains, is forced to rise. It cools and condenses to form clouds, and finally, rain. Over 100 million tons of water fall on the Earth's surface every minute. That's enough to fill Lake Titicaca in a week. But in the Sacred Headwaters, a cluster of mountains in the vast wilderness of northern BC, when water falls from the sky, the Earth rejoices.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. The landing should be fairly interesting. The wind has really picked up.
At your 2 o'clock, isn't that a place to land? I think it's the runway we saw on the map.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
We'll head over that way then.
And I think I see Daniel.
You'll be happy to see another human. There's not too many around here.
That's for sure. Oof. That was interesting. Okay, thanks for the flight.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Fix.
How are you?
Good, you? How's the flight?
Great, wonderful. I see you brought the canoe.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my back. It's pretty dense.
But we'll get through.
We will. And there is the Clapan.
It should be doable. I'm clipped in.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive to be at the source of 3 of the biggest rivers in BC, right here in the few square kilometers around us.
You're right. We're at the head of the 3 watersheds.
Right.
To explain what a watershed is, we could use a funnel analogy. The watershed is the area that directs the water to a common outflow. In this case, the mouth of the Stikine River.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is you mentioned a funnel. Here, several funnels meet.
Yeah, that's right. A drop of water that falls a kilometer or 2 east or west of here will take a completely different path. That makes us realize that what drives hydrology is gravity. Here we're about 1,400 meters above sea level, and the mouth is around sea level. So between the two, the water will follow its path, which is the path of least resistance, zigzagging around obstacles.
Well, speaking of the mouth of the Stikine, we'd better head out or we'll never get there.
Agreed.
Tell me you have some canoeing experience?
Well, it's been a few years, but it should come back.
Okay, we'll see what we can do.
Francois Xavier and Daniel head down the Clapan, which flows into the legendary Stikine River. Following a river means experiencing its life, from a small mountain stream to a mighty waterway. The adventurers will discover every step of the path the water takes on land before returning to the ocean and starting its endless cycle again.
Head all the way to the right.
Okay, yeah, to the right.
Well done.
It's not over yet. Okay, it's good.
Good. We can get between them.
Yeah, you can tell we're close to the source. There's not much water.
Fix, what I find fascinating about water is that since the beginning of the Earth, it's existed in practically the same quantity and is constantly circulating.
Exactly. A closed loop that was set in motion when the Earth was first formed. That really gets my imagination going. It's exciting to think about the fact that the water we're floating on now could have been drunk by dinosaurs and flowed in their blood.
Absolutely. And you could even imagine that it used to be on Mount Everest in the form of ice.
That's right. It's a journey through time as well as space.
That makes me think that water in its 3 phases is closely linked to human history. I'll give you an example. During the last ice age, since most water was concentrated in ice, the sea level was much lower, which allowed people living in Asia to cross the Bering Strait and populate North America.
Yeah, the fate of native peoples is directly related to water. Not only for their survival today, but also for their arrival on the North American continent. Well, we've got ourselves some rapids. So focus, right?
Yeah, let's go. Exactly.
Slightly to the left.
Yeah. Like that.
What? There's a tree. Oh, we're too much to the left. Oh, shit.
Get out if you can.
Okay.
We should try to back up. That's it.
Made it.
Straight ahead.
Total straight.
Keep going.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice going, Fix. It's not the big waves. It's the nasty little ones. I think I just pulled a rescue operation over there when we were about to hit that big one and I rode left.
You handled that really well, man. Would have gotten stuck there for sure. After the rapids, dead calm.
Yeah, the water's really calm here. That looks like a beaver dam.
I think you're right.
Yeah. We're on the reservoir of a beaver dam.
It's incredible how much they can change the landscape.
I know. Have you seen how they affect the diversity of local flora and fauna?
They've totally transformed the landscape to their advantage. There's a reason why we call them the engineers of the North.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Huh?
for sure. They work hard. Where we are right now is a good example of water as a habitat. Beavers have used water to change their environment and adapt it to their way of life.
For themselves and a lot of other animal and vegetable species.
Yeah, exactly.
Since the beginning, we've talked about water as a source of life. That reminds me that the NASA's rule of thumb for finding life in the universe is actually to follow the water. Which makes me wonder, what is the property of water that makes it so important to life?
I'd say that the fundamental property of water for life is the fact that it's a universal solvent, meaning that it's something that can dissolve many substances required for life. I'll give you an example involving rainwater, which is starting to fall on this pond. When that water falls and makes contact with soil molecules, it will dissolve certain salts and minerals that can be used by plants to grow. That's a good example of water as a solvent, but also as a carrier. It carries nutrients that are essential to life.
Listening to you, I can't help drawing a parallel between the water system and the human circulatory system. In both cases, water circulates, nourishes, and carries life-sustaining elements from one place to another.
Yeah, that's a good parallel.
So water is the lifeblood of the earth.
If Francois Xavier and Daniel continued paddling 300 kilometers down the Clapan into the Stikine River, crossed the wide plains of the Clandestine Valley, and then survived the Stikine Grand Canyon Rapids, they would end up in a little village called Telegraph Creek. Amid the ruins of a dark colonial past, the Tahltan people's daily lives have a vital yet precarious connection to the river's waters.
Feel it there. Look at that. Feel that? Sharp now.
A long time ago, when they moved with the seasons, and even to this day, even people live a long ways away, the Stikine River is still a gathering point where they could fish, gather up their food for the winter, or in case for the people that live in the cities, they have their fish, their traditional food, and they keep their traditional ways alive. And up and down this river, right to where the Tahltan and the Stikine join together, you'll find our people along this river. And everyone has a unique, different camp. And along these camps, there's different signs of where our people have been there for like 100 years.
Oh, it's really good. Eat some soapberries. They're for your blood.
Yeah, good for your blood. Some say it's bitter, but when it's this late, when they're ready to fall off, they're really sweet. They're no longer bitter.
There's some more down the trail, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a nice bush right there.
The way it runs is that the fish would swim up in the stream. This is kind of a rebound energy circle where they gather all their energy back and they regain their strength and they'll shoot up the river again. So generally where we set our net is right where they come to rest. And when they come to rest, they hit it like this, boom. It's like a car doing a U-turn. Oh my God.
Oh, there's some live ones there. Yee! Oh, it's Jack again, eh? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, slow, nice and steady.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Holy, look right at the bottom section. That's awesome. Holy smokes, look how many.
No, not this one, Chip. Don't eat jack salmon.
Gotta give it a little repair. Those big king just wreck it, so you don't fix it, then you miss lots of fish.
Plus, your hole just generally gets bigger after a while. And then you gotta ditch your net, which isn't very good.
Yeah, not right now. Not when it's hitting good.
This is my summer job here. And I love to do it. Love being out here, love being on the land. And just love spending time with my dad and my nephew. That's generally what I love the most. Because my dad's not getting old, but he's getting up there. And I want to spend many years with him, and I want to learn many of his things as he's learned over his years. And I want to take that knowledge and show other people. Yeah, staying connected to you here is living your culture, keeping your tradition alive. And respect your elders is what I was always taught.
They keep coming back.
That's why you give thanks to tobacco. With tobacco, you always...
Do you have any on you?
Yeah, I got snuff on me.
Give thanks, okay? As soon as we're done, you give thanks.
Thanks to the Creator for giving these beautiful fish. Pray for your family to keep safe along the river.
It could be this kind of tobacco. It could be loose tobacco.
Cigarettes. As long as you're giving thanks with tobacco, it's the only thing.
Give thanks back to the river because it's actually a living, breathing thing.
I should do it on my net pole because generally we're fishing right here, so. Thank you, Lord, Creator. Keep you safe along the water. Keep everybody safe in the water. People don't realize how much they have until it's gone.
Don't leave a straggler behind. That's a perfect one.
The scariest part was when Mount Poly broke open there. And it was polluting all the rivers and kind of gave a scare here. But now we have one of our own Mount Polys in our backyard, right, Chris? A It's not very good. That's our headwaters, Sacred Headwaters.
This country is so vast, but you know, a lot of it is protected, which is a great thing. And we have, you know, Idzaidza, which is this massive park connected to the canyon and then connected to Spatsizi. And in between, at the very epicenter of this whole valley, the place that if you were to throw a dart at a map of the whole Stikine and hit the epicenter, that would literally be Tahltan Mountain. In any other place in the world, Tahltan would have been protected as a national park. I mean, where else on earth can you stop by the side of a public highway, take your child by the hand, walk up a trail onto a beautiful soaring plateau and find yourself surrounded by 400 stone sheep? Canadians love the idea of the North, but none of them go there. And so what we've had to do to raise awareness of this very special place is to bring the place to the people through books and films and public presentations and so on. And Monty's played a tremendous role in that collective effort. I could be wrong, but I can't think of any other filmmaker who was there as early as Monty was and has covered as much as he did.
Yeah, the sheep have been here, bedded down. This population here on the mountain is probably the largest concentration in the world of stone sheep. They're of the subspecies called thinhorn. And to the west, there's another thinhorn subspecies called Dall. And during the last ice age, this mountain and say the next mountain would be above the ice. And it would allow these, say, stone sheep like here to evolve as in their own kind of separate genetic strains. There was no interaction at some time with any of the parameter species. And so they became unique. They lay out like this one on the knolls, right out on the tip of these knolls with cliffs dropping off like you can see below them. And it's such a great protective mechanism because they're always aware of what's below them. It's like a fortress in a castle. Their whole defense is escape. So if they're attacked from below, they just escape out the back. If they're attacked from below on these promontories that stick out like this one, they just go down into the cliffs. Most people would not understand this, but I get in here, and particularly when I'm by myself, and after a little while I lose a sense of self, and you just kind of become part of the landscape. This whole egocentric concept that death is such a terminus tells me a lot that people aren't part of the flow. But when you get up here, it just the balance between life and death is a very foggy. It's like when the clouds come in here. At what point did you die and just become part of the clouds, and at what point are you still an observer?
This is the Grand Canyon of the Stikine, the largest canyon in Canada. Over a 70-kilometer stretch, the Stikine River has carved a 300-meter-deep maze in the rock. This is the next step for the Uncharted Canada team. This vertical world is mountain goat heaven. They've been living here, safe from large predators, for thousands of years. Their muscular frame and hooves equipped with gripping pads allow them to negotiate the most vertical of walls. Humans will always be guests passing through here.
Approach carefully, guys.
Oh my God!
Wow.
How many meters?
Oh, there's at least 200 meters.
Check out the power of those rapids.
It's incredible. Kayakers go down this river. Can you imagine?
Only a few years ago, people thought it would be impossible. A series of 40 rapids over 70 kilometers. Once you're on the river, you're committed. It's one of the hardest descents in the world. It's a bit like Mount Everest for kayakers.
So that's where you want us to go.
We'll take a closer look. We'll set up some ropes and harnesses and get ready to make a nice descent.
To get closer to the Stikine River rapids, the three men will attempt a 300-meter rappel through the void down to the bottom of the canyon.
Hey, that's good. You're still smiling.
Okay.
At least for now.
Now keep leaning and put the rope on top. Aim for that corner.
Okay, here I go.
I feel really alive doing stuff like this.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's what rock climbing does. It makes you feel alive.
The more I look at the river, the more I keep thinking, how is it possible that a river like this, powerful as it may be, could carve out a canyon over 200 meters deep?
What we see here is the river's incredible erosion work over the years. You have to realize that there's a constant battle between the force of tectonics, or volcanic activity, that tends to push the rock up, and water in solid and liquid form that tends to flatten and create furrows. So through the force of its impact, the water will weaken the rock and break off small pieces that we call sediment, which will be carried off by the water. It has an extremely abrasive effect here, like sandpaper.
So there's a lot of sediment flowing down the Stikine.
Yes, exactly, and of all sizes. You can see by the color of the river itself. It's not transparent, it's opaque. That's an indication of its sediment load. You also have to remember that the flow is heavy. It's moving fast, and there's a lot of turbulence. There are very fine particles that will remain suspended in the water a long time. But it also carries gravel and sand, and during major flooding, it will also carry large chunks. All that reshapes the landscape.
Well, let's take a closer look.
Should we head down?
Yep, let's go.
All right.
The adventurers resume their descent into the canyon depths. A few hundred meters below resound some of the fiercest rapids in Canada. Francois Xavier, Damien, and hydrologist Daniel Nadeau have reached the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Unlike the Grand Canyon in Colorado, no dam disrupts the flow of the Stikine. No tourists visit the rock maze it is carved out, and frankly, few even know it exists. That's the magic of the Stikine Grand Canyon. In this natural setting, it's water that holds all the cards.
The power of this river is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The insane amount of water makes me wonder where it all comes from.
That's an excellent question, Fix. In fact, there's no consensus yet in the scientific community as to the exact origin of water on Earth. One thing we know for sure is that it's been here for a very long time. The first sign of liquid water on Earth goes back 3.8 billion years, if you can imagine. One theory about the origin of water is that it arrived on meteorites. Studies have shown that the chemical composition of the ice contained in meteorites is the same as that of water on Earth. They match up. Back then, there was pretty constant volcanic activity. So you have to imagine meteorites full of ice landing on Earth. The ice melts, and due to the heat, it's expelled in the form of vapor. This formed a layer of gas enveloping the Earth. And over time, volcanic activity tapered off, and everything cooled down and condensed to form the liquid water that we see today.
Speaking of volcanoes, there's another theory by which the volcanoes themselves expelled a certain amount of water into the atmosphere.
Exactly. According to that theory, volcanoes shot up water that was already contained in the Earth's crust. So there's a dichotomy between the two theories. Does water have extraterrestrial origins through meteorites, or has it been an integral part of the Earth since the very beginning?
I imagine it's probably a mix of both sources.
Yeah, that's quite probable, yes.
You seem to be implying that there's water throughout the universe, that it's quite common.
I think there's no real doubt that there's water throughout the universe. But the real question is, can we observe liquid water or water in its three phases? What's unusual about planet Earth is that we're at just the right distance from the sun, where water can coexist in its three phases at normal temperature and pressure. If we get closer to the sun, all the water would become vapor. If we moved away, it would all turn to ice, which is not suitable for the emergence of life.
So we're very lucky to have just the right balance.
Yes, exactly.
Planet Earth is really lucky.
Yeah.
From here, the Stikine River roars down over 50 kilometers in an uninterrupted series of fierce, powerful rapids. No salmon swimming up the Stikine can negotiate its rapids, which is why at the end of the canyon, near the small community of Telegraph Creek, the fishing is always good.
So you stick your fingers in his eyeball. You have more control over your slices and your cuts.
They go up the mountain, they go to level mountain. And they do their... You get the fish put away? Watch out now. Knives are just flying by here. And then you keep your fish clean when you're skinning, you're gutting your fish, and then once you get it back and fillet her and stuff, she won't complain.
Mom, what did you say? It took you about 3 years to learn the perfect fillet, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Filleting fish is just like anything else in the process. It takes time to learn.
That's fish part. Is this a dry fish?
Or dry fish, yeah. Run that and cut fish and clean fish and hang fish, then cut fish again. Oh, and then you salt them and then you hang them. I forgot to put the salt in there.
As you see her, she points her blade at a certain angle, and then she comes out with the perfect fillet in every time. And then when I do mine, mine comes out in like chicken strips. You observe just the way her knife and her blade sits on the meat. Me as a young person, I'll still always be in the learning process.
And you see how they're hanging? Their body style is heading upriver. Okay? They're carrying on with their journey. That's why you hang them. There's a certain way you hang fish when you bring them out of the river. Well, this year, fish was really late, and it goes to wonder, you know, are they really can't fight that pollution that's in the ocean anymore, or are they overfishing with the commercial license fishing down the river? You think of all this stuff because we tie in with the river so closely and with the animals so closely that this is part of our food chain. This is who we are. You know, it talks about your identity, Tahltan people. Well, the fish that you see us doing has been done like this for hundreds of years by our elders, and it's hard work, but it's fun work. I'll better grab some more.
Now they're telling us we can't eat fish out of this lake and the Oliver Lake. They didn't say anything of the lakes beyond this, but I mean, you know, logic would tell you not to eat the fish out of the lakes below these lakes. This is all water. This whole area is water. Everywhere you look, it's a tributary, you know, like that's why we call this the Sacred Headwaters. Then you got this mine, Red Chris, sitting right smack dab in the middle of that. Our water's poisoned. I mean, like, I don't care what you say about it, you can say it's contaminated. The bottom line is it's poisoned if we can't eat it, right? We can't eat the fish.
The main thing that's happening on this mountain is this copper gold mine. And it's low-grade copper, which means that they have to take a huge amount of materials out to get anything worth selling. So what we see is the overburden that's being stacked after the ore's been extracted out of it. But the thing that really is going to kill this mountain is they're putting 2 dams, one on the north side, which is already in, but they're proposing for the south side a dam that's 330 meters. And it's the same company that brought this disaster called Mount Polly.
On August 4th, 2014, near the village of Likely, BC, the wall of one of Mount Polly's mine's tailing ponds gave way under the weight of the wastewater, and 24 million liters of slurry ended up in the surrounding waterways. It was one of the worst ecological disasters in Canadian history. The Tahltan tailing pond, of similar design to that of Mount Polly, is considered by many to be a ticking time bomb.
If and when, and they do say when, everybody says when, that dam gives way, it will take out and lay in layers of arsenic and heavy metals all the way down that valley. It'll come, it'll turn, go into these lakes, and then all of these lakes going out to the coast.
It's not as if this mine site is isolated. You know, if something goes wrong, it'll go very wrong. You know, there's 4,000 open pit copper and gold mines in the world, and to my mind, putting one on Tahltan Mountain, home to the largest population of a charismatic ungulate species of stone sheep in the world, was rather like drilling for oil in the Sistine Chapel.
They've brought easily 200 kilometers or more of high-powered transmission lines right through the middle of the most virgin area of northern Canada for one mine, and that mine will be gone in 25 years from now. It's insane.
Truly wild lands have any number of values. I mean, obviously spiritual, but also economic. Don't forget that travel and tourism is a $3.5 trillion business around the world. It is the biggest economic engine on the planet. The entire capitalization of every mining company in the world doesn't add up to $1 trillion. Our landscape is who we are. It's what makes the spirit of this place. And so I don't care how much you want to tell me we become demographically an urban place. You cannot be Canadian, in a sense, if you don't feel and listen to the whispered messages of the wild.
Imagine, you know, I'm going to be gone one of these days, and for 12,000 years, you know, if this water has memory, it's seen so many of us come and go. But you can't even say that it's seen so many of us come and go because, you know, I've been drinking this water for 10 years, so therefore I'm upwards to 80% of this water. Like, you know, the moose is drinking the same water that comes from the clouds, it goes down to the ocean, it comes back, and it falls here, and we're all drinking the same water, so therefore we're all the same thing. We're the water. We are the water. It's really amazing.
Oh wow, you can see all the sediments there.
Damien, Francois Xavier, and their guest, hydrologist Daniel Nadeau, are en route for the final chapter of their river exploration, Great Glacier Provincial Park. They took off from the small village of Telegraph Creek at the mouth of the Grand Canyon and are now flying over the river toward the ocean. The Great Glacier awaits a few kilometers from the Alaskan border.
There are some incredible meanders down there. The river kind of disappears into the forest. Wow, that valley is totally U-shaped.
That's the sign of a glacial valley.
Yeah, it's really perfect.
What I love is the sun's reflection on the Stikine. It's fantastic.
Fix and Damien, you'll notice how much the landscape has opened up. The Stikine's bed is much wider than we saw earlier in the canyon. Here we're right at the bottom of the watershed, near the outflow where the Stikine River flows into the Pacific Ocean. Higher up in the watershed, we were in an area where the river scraped away sediment from the landscape. Here we're in an area where it deposits it. And you'll notice lots of sandbanks here and there. I'll give you an example with this bottle I brought. You see that the water's fairly clear here, but the main thing is how much deposit there is at the bottom.
That's water from the Stikine?
Yes, I took it from the Stikine just now. I'll show you something. This is an example of calm water where there's a deposit. When it's turbulent, when the water is constantly churning in the narrow sections, we'll see to what extent the sediment carried off by the water remains in suspension. I'll show you what happens when I shake it up. Notice that at the bottom, the sediment is deposited according to its size. The largest particles first, followed gradually by everything else.
So as the water slows down, the larger sediments will be deposited. Then the smaller ones, and so on?
Exactly. Have you noticed how the waters of the Stikine are not really transparent? It's a bit like this water. The water column is still loaded with fine sediment, which takes a really long time to settle. This sediment will most likely end up in the ocean as is, through the Stikine Delta over there.
Do you see those bergs? Oh, well.
We're getting to the Great Glacier. You can see the glacier right there.
Yeah, you can see it right at the end of the valley. It's almost surreal. A lake full of icebergs in the middle of the forest.
We need to find a spot where there aren't too many icebergs.
What I'm actually gonna do, I'm just gonna come through those two bergs right there and then land.
We touched down between two icebergs. Our pilot is really skilled, and we are now surrounded by sandbanks, icebergs, and the sun. We are so spoiled.
It's really hard to describe. We're on a lake filled with icebergs. That's something I've never seen before. And the idea of exploring that glacier is something else. It's really incredible.
Separated from the Stikine River by a thin strip of land that was formerly the front edge of the ice tongue, Great Glacier Lake bears witness to the glacier's former immensity. The adventurers make their way among the icebergs littering the surface of the lake, a crystalline fairy tale world created unknowingly by human hands.
Look at the iceberg there.
It's beautiful.
Incredible, huh?
Yeah.
During our adventure, we've explored two phases of water, gaseous and liquid. I find it quite apropos to end our adventure with the last phase, the solid phase, in the form of ice.
Yeah, in terms of freshwater stocks, it's the most important phase in the water cycle. Did you know that of all the water available on Earth, only 3% is fresh water? And of that 3%, 69% is contained in the solid phase, meaning in the form of ice or snow. And 30% is contained in the ground. Did you hear that cracking sound?
Something cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cracking all around us.
30% is contained in the ground, and only 1% is available in the form of surface water.
So 1% of 3% of the total amount of water. So not much water is directly available for consumption. It's interesting. We're floating on this lake, but not that long ago, the glacier covered the entire surface of the lake. I heard there's a Tahltan legend about how the glacier extended so far that it met the other glacier that came from the other side of the valley. It formed a kind of ice bridge across the valley, and according to the legend, that's where the final battle took place between the Tahltan and the Tlingit, who lived farther down the valley. It's funny to think that if the battle had taken place now in the same spot, they'd have fought in the water. Wow. Wanna check out the cave, guys?
You go. I'll be happy to watch.
Happy out, Daniel.
Yeah, I'll help. If you want, I could hoist you up.
Hoist me right up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try.
Like this?
Good.
1, 2, 3.
But it keeps... Yeah.
What service, eh?
Yeah, but you'll have to hold on to me because
I've got you.
it's going to slip. What service? Almost feel like I'm walking on water. The ice is really soaked with water here.
Yeah, you can see that it's really melting.
Yeah, it's melting really fast.
Did you know that part of this water will evaporate, rise into the atmosphere, and act as a greenhouse gas? We often forget that water vapor is the main greenhouse gas.
No, really?
We often talk about how greenhouse gases are harmful and connected to global warming. But did you know that if there was no greenhouse gases, the temperature of the planet would be minus 18 Celsius?
So basically, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are natural.
Yes, exactly. What happens is that greenhouse gases act as a kind of blanket around planet Earth. It's like a greenhouse that maintains heat at a certain level and makes it so that the average temperature on Earth is around 15 degrees Celsius on average.
On average, eh?
Yeah. The problem is that at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the mid-19th century, humans started using hydrocarbons, and through combustion, artificially injected more greenhouse gases. Since then, we've noticed that temperatures have risen. It's gotten hotter. It's like we've made the blanket enveloping planet Earth thicker.
So there's been an increase, but what kind of amounts are we talking about?
We've had direct CO2 measurements since around the mid-1950s. There's an astronomical observatory in Hawaii that's taken constant measurements since that time. And we've noted increases ever since then. The question is trying to put the current concentrations of greenhouse gases, in particular CO2, in perspective over a longer period of time. It's interesting we're standing on an iceberg because through information contained in the ice, we can prolong the time span. In Antarctica, there's a glacier several kilometers thick. Scientists drilled an ice core, and by analyzing the bubbles contained in the ice, we're able to track the concentration of greenhouse gases back to very ancient times. What they noticed is that the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere has never been as high in 400,000 years.
In the early 20th century, visitors arriving by boat from Alaska could easily reach the glacier from the banks of the Stikine. A little over 100 years later, our friends need to paddle over 4 kilometers in a canoe to reach the edges of the ice tongue. The glacier, like the vast majority of glaciers around the world, has already lost close to 2/3 of its mass. Western Canada is one of the 3 regions in the world most affected by melting glaciers. After Alaska and Patagonia, Great Glacier won't survive the turn of the next century. As they approach the monumental yet fleeting ice pack, our friends don't know whether to celebrate its beauty or mourn its passing.
Wow. That's not something you see every day, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty special. This is where the ice finishes its great journey.
Plus, we can hear the ice melt flowing under the glacier into the lake.
See that? I'm really amazed by the intensity of the blue in the crevices.
If the 3 men had one lesson to draw from their adventure, it would be the degree to which water connects us all. Pollution from a mine at the headwaters of the Stikine River can impact salmon stocks in Alaska, 600 kilometers downstream. The same is true of the climate. We can see it here at Great Glacier. Greenhouse gas emissions from anywhere in the world cause glaciers to melt in the middle of Canada. Once again, it's like the blood that flows in our veins. If a limb, an organ, or even a milliliter of blood becomes infected, the entire body gets sick. The worldwide interconnection created by water is remarkable, but also dangerous. It gives humans an enormous responsibility. Every local action instantly becomes global through water's tremendous capacity to move around and connect us.